Citing security risks, the government imposed import restrictions on laptops, tablets, personal computers, and similar data processing units on August 3rd. While China was not mentioned, the restrictions will mean that going ahead, such items can be sourced only from trusted partners via a licensing regime. Late on August 4th night, the government deferred the implementation of the restrictions on imports of laptops, PCs, and tablets by 3 months to November 1st. Even so, news agency Bloomberg reported earlier in the day that global PC and laptop makers were already in talks with the center on how to obtain the required licenses. Issued by the Directorate General of Foreign Trade, or DGFT, the original notice had clarified that airline passengers returning to India could still carry such items purchased abroad. An exemption would also apply to such items being purchased from e-commerce portals, by post or courier. An exemption from the import licensing norm had been granted for up to 20 items per consignment intended for research and development, testing, benchmarking, evaluation, repair, re-export, and product development. The licensing requirement would also not apply if the items formed an essential part of a capital good. Curbing excessive imports of electronic items appears to be the other motive. In FY23, India imported $8.8 billion worth of the 7 items now under the licensing regime. Out of that, China accounted for products worth $5.1 billion, or 58% of the total amount. Of these items, when it comes specifically to personal computers and laptops, India's imports from China actually fell 23% in FY23 to $4.1 billion, compared to about $5.3 billion in FY22. However, this drop came after a sharp jump in such imports from China in FY22 and FY21. Overall, about 65% of the units that make up India's total laptop and PC market are imported. Industry players have reportedly said that this decision will boost local manufacturing of these devices. Optimus Electronics, an electronic manufacturing services company, hailed the decision as progressive and said it would lead to an expansion in its manufacturing capacity. On July 31st, Reliance Retail also unveiled the JioBook, a 4G LTE-powered laptop priced at 16,499 rupees. However, one industry expert did warn that the restriction could lead to short-term supply disruptions for brands like Apple, HP, and Lenovo. Also on July 31st, the government extended the deadline to apply for benefits under the Modified Production-Linked Incentive Scheme for IT hardware products till August 30th. In May, the scheme's budgetary outlay was more than doubled to 17,000 crore rupees. So, will the curb on PC and laptop imports boost local manufacturing?
I see it as a carrot and stick, exactly what played out for the mobile phone industry, which means that you put a tariff measure in that case in the mobile. From zero, we took a 20% import duty and we gave them a PLI. So you tell them, if you want to do business in this country, you're welcome to come and start making in this country. And while you make in this country, we will incentivize you, because we do understand that there are certain disabilities compared to global competitive levels. So it worked out for mobile. I think we are playing from the same playbook now, where the IT hardware has been given an incentive as PLI. And on the other side, of course, we are bound by ITA 1, and we cannot put a tariff on laptops or the IT hardware. And hence, at least in my opinion, a non-tariff measure has been put in, which is to basically license the import. While this will increase the assembly of IT hardware, it may not completely solve the component issue that we have. For which I think we are waiting for a PLI 3.0.
This will certainly boost domestic manufacturing of laptops and other such items in the longer term. In the longer term, when I say 6 months to 1 year down the line, the assembly lines will be modified and we should be able to get good volumes out of assembled in India for the laptops as well. So I think it's a fair concern from an import substitution point of view. But the only defense from the government's point of view can be that we have a rather mature ecosystem in place, at least for minimal value adding, which we're doing for the assembly or the make in India for the smartphone space. We already, most of the vendors, most of the brands are already already assembling a lot of desktops already in India. I don't think it should be a problem. We already have some systems in place.
India's IT services and tech industry, which was set to become a $245 billion sector in FY23, owes a lot to the easy availability of imported computing hardware for decades. How will this sector be affected?
I remember comments made by Narayan Murthy, I think it was, the founder, the lead founder of Infosys, many years ago, who, when he was asked about the rise of the software industry, attributed it to import licensing going away for computers. And that's really what enabled the industry to thrive. Now, I'm sure people will say, well, this is now, software will be an exception. But will it really be an exception? It might be an exception if your name is Infosys or TCS or Wipro. But will it be an exception for the small 5-member startup trying to establish a new software venture? Or will that somehow need an additional carve-out and exception? I really think this is a terribly retrograde step. It's one that we should reverse. It's not in the national interest.
The end of the license Raj began in 1991 with the onset of economic liberalization. But some believe this move has the ring of that bygone era.
It takes us back to the old days the bad old days, I'll say, of the license regime. We have provisions that have been at least announced in the press that say that we will go to trusted partners. Now, who are trusted partners? Make it transparent. Second, and there should be no discretion involved in someone saying so-and-so is trusted, so-and-so is not. Second, we have a whole set of exceptions that have been announced. All of these exceptions are the kind of thing that we had gone away from over 30 years ago when we scrapped import licensing. I think it's too bad that we're going back in time to an import license regime for so vital an item that so underlies the way in which we work in the modern economy.
While the domestic industry believes that this decision will provide a fillip to local production of laptops and PCs, it may be worth asking whether the only way to do this is by opting for a move that brings back memories of the licensing regime of yesteryear.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
He's about to land his dream job. Business Standard.